The time has come, Five Nights at Freddy movie fans. Early reactions for the movie have now released online. 8 years waiting to see what people will think of this movie, and it's not looking great, guys. I'm not even gonna lie to you. What the heck, man? But that's what I'm gonna do here for you guys, is I'm gonna be going through the early reactions and reviews for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, since it is currently available overseas in the UK. British people sipping their tea and watching FNAF. I gotta stop making fun of the British. I love them. But as I go through these, I want to hear from you guys. Did you always kind of expect the Five Nights at Freddy's movie maybe not to get the most stellar reviews? Are you shocked by this? Are you surprised? Where do you think you're gonna land on it? Whatever the case may be, let me know down below, and hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already. Alright, so yes, I woke up this morning, started scrolling online to the internet, and I saw my first review of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Boy, I was waiting to see what people thought, and well, here it goes. The Five Nights at Freddy's is nothing but a dull, uninspiring collection of lame jump scares collaged together in a thin plot. Cool setting, cooler practical effects, but zero atmosphere. I hope fans have a better time than I did. Watchable enough, but utterly forgettable. I was like, oh, okay, that's just one review? That doesn't mean everybody's gonna end up feeling that way. Let me just scroll a little bit more and see what other people say. Okay, we got another one here. This one says, FNAF movie might be the most uneven film of the year. Absolutely nothing like it was sold. Going off on tangents at every turn and barely coming together at the end. What should probably have been a simple horror tale is made into a convoluted PG-13 mess. 1.5 stars. Oh, it's happening! No! And this is the common consensus. Now, I'm going to read you one more, and then we're going to look at reviews from fans of the actual game. So we have here another one saying, I can't speak about Five Nights at Freddy's as a fan of the game, but as a film, it's completely flat and jumbled misfire. While I appreciated the practicality of the animatronics and some of the music choices were cool, the problem is the story, and that it barely has one. The performances are stiff, the dialogue is laughably bad, and where are the scares? Might be one of the most unsure of itself films in 2023. Okay. So looking at it here, what we're getting from the Five Nights at Freddy's movie is a lot of jump scares. Story all over the place, goes off in tangents, convoluted, thin plot. Can you say video game accurate or not, my friend? Sounds like you're describing FNAF. I felt like it was always going to be a monumental task to adapt the Five Nights at Freddy's video games because, yes, the stories are crazy. They're out there. They're wild. And you have the creator, Scott Cawthon, attached to it. He's going to put in as much of the games as they're going to allow him to, and he accomplished it. You know, the problem with sometimes adapting a video game into movie form is, as a video game, you already excuse some of the weird story beats because it plays into a level of the game, or it throws in something that you weren't expecting as part of gameplay. So that's all forgiven. When you take away the gameplay and it's no longer there as a mechanic of the game and you're watching it as a story point, you realize more how it just doesn't make sense. It's fun to theorize and speculate and wonder and all that, but yeah, the FNAF story has always been a little complicated and weird, so I expected the story maybe not to be the biggest, most loving part of the film, but man, it is making me a little worried that I'm not hearing a lot of things of like, oh, Matthew Lillard was awesome. He was great as William Afton. That's what I really wanted to see out of these reviews, and I'm just not getting that. Also, do want to preface by saying, if you're someone who wants to look up other reviews online with these hashtags, be very careful. The movie is out in UK, and you know today's world, phones pop out in the theater and record everything, so you could be spoiled big time. I know when I was trying to look for these reviews, I saw little screen grabs of something where I was like, oh, scroll, don't want to see that. Same goes for YouTube thumbnails. Just don't even search anything FNAF for a while. But I was like, okay, these are obviously reviews from people who aren't fans of the games, and that's fine, it's understandable. Let's look at how they did pleasing people who were fans of the games. And well, we have one here from Joe, another lovely British boy you might know. He's a big fan of Five Nights at Freddy's, and he said here, I give the FNAF movie a 7 out of 10. I really enjoyed it, but it does have a few flaws. It's very well written at parts, but sometimes not so much. Great acting on all parts. In all honesty, I think you're gonna like it a lot. not if you're a fan of the franchise. Yes, I'm biased. Another review here from a fan that says, Five Nights at Freddy's leaps above its flaws to deliver a practically perfect, satisfying, fun, and thrill-worthy good time at the movies. Hutcherson is great. Matthew Lillard Afton is fantastic with Stu Macher vibes appropriately sprinkled across his performance. Another review here from a fan that says, the Five Nights at Freddy's movie was a great time. It had good scares, the fan service did not disappoint, and the story was very well done. Definitely has a couple things I wish it did, but I'm dying to see the next one. So yeah, it looks like if you're a fan, you're gonna end up liking it. You might notice some of the flaws, but at the end you're like, man, it's Five Nights at Freddy's. It's in movie form. It's awesome. And this has started now to call people the Five Nights at Freddy's movie a Mario 2.0, where the Mario movie had a very similar situation have happened to itself, where when I saw the movie as a fan of Mario, growing up playing nothing but Mario games, I loved that movie. It was so fun. Seeing Mario in that world, the creation of all the little villains and the mushroom and Donkey Kong, like, I walked out of that movie so happy and fulfilled and really surprised when I saw critics were trashing the movie, saying it was a little too silly, goofy, story didn't make sense, it's just a kid's film. I was like, what? This feels like the Five Nights at Freddy's movie is going down a similar path. If you're just not familiar with the tropes, the Easter eggs, the reference, you're not gonna get the biggest bang for your buck when watching the movie. A lot of this stuff is gonna go over the general audience's head, and that's fine. You know, if you've been watching a lot of the interviews and things with the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, they've been saying, we made this movie for the fans, which could just be another way of, you know, shielding themselves and preparing with it. It's like, you're only gonna like it if you're a fan. So I would say to fans, get ready for this movie to get a lot of bad reviews, have a really low Rotten Tomatoes score, and well, at the end of the day, it shouldn't bother you if you're someone who walks out liking the movie. But let's look at this from a point of, is this gonna affect the chances of getting a sequel? Because they said they're planning 3 movies, and I think even if you're a fan who thinks the movie is bad, you probably still want to see more Five Nights at Freddy's movie content in your life. I think even with these bad reviews, the movie is still set to have like a big box office opening. Not huge, but actually pretty decent for a movie that's also releasing on streaming the same day. In fact, I saw that it's releasing tonight on streaming, so it's gonna be on Peacock, the cock, before it goes to theaters. Kind of insanity. But that is the beauty of Blumhouse making this movie on such a dang low budget that it's gonna make its money back either way. So I think as long as fans go and support it and, you know, shill out their money, they're gonna go ahead and make at least one more movie, and hopefully all this stuff that they get criticized for, you know, lackluster story, unfocused narrative, maybe not teeter-tottering between PG-13, rated R, all that well, they can fix that for the next 2 movies. I get to see the movie tonight in a couple of hours, so I'm excited. I still am going to give you my super honest thoughts, so don't hate me if I end up agreeing with the critics. I feel like I know enough about FNAF to enjoy like the Easter eggs and references that it'll be a pleasant, fun time for me. And like, just looking at the practical effects and the suits they made, I think I'm just going to enjoy it from a visual standpoint alone. And as long as you give me plenty of Spring Bonnie William Afton, I will be happy. But I toss it off to you guys. You see these early reactions for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. Does it make you a little sad? Does it make you worrisome? Would love to hear all your thoughts down below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.